Welcome to the Half-Blood Report.
Here we discuss Percy Jackson news, interviews, and all things Raritan. I'm Samuel, your co-host.
And I'm Diego, your other co-host.
So let's jump into the Demigod news. This is kind of not a lot of news. First up, Becky Raritan confirmed on Twitter that the PJO TV show will be hiring a 12-year-old to play Percy Jackson. This isn't really news, but she just felt she needed to update people because not everyone was clear on that.
Yeah, as Samuel said, not really a bunch of news, but it's great to hear that, it's going to be not 18-year-olds or 20-year-olds playing the part of a preteen.
Yeah, exactly. And next up, Reed Raritan dropped a spotlight on Drew Tanaka. So that's pretty cool. If you don't remember, Drew, of course, is the Aphrodite counselor before Piper takes her on.
Evil Aphrodite counselor before Piper.
Well, not evil. She's just not
Definitely
the nicest
evil.
person.
The first little paragraph in the spotlight is called Lack of Charm. And the second one is called Malevolent Ruler.
Okay, but there's a difference between being a bad person and being evil. Evil is Kronos, okay? Evil is Gaia, okay? Like, Drew is just a bully.
Malevolent Ruler sounds pretty evil.
I don't know. We might disagree. I feel evil needs to be used for, like, some actual, like, people who want to destroy the world, not people who, like, want to be a counselor and rule be a boss of everyone. Drew might not be a nice person, but you're going to go far calling her evil. Yeah, you can check that out. Just got some cool art. Oh yeah, and so another article we got was Reed Raritan for Valentine's Day released a list of 5 favorite Percy crushes. So the list is actually, I would say it's so there's a kind of a major problem in it. So it ranks Annabeth Chase, Nico D'Angelo, Calypso, Reina as the top 4 in that order, Annabeth number 1 and Reina number 4. But then, instead of having Rachel on this list, it ranks Hazel as number 5. And what it says, it is hard to tell whether this was a real crush or just a bad case of hero worship. Either way, Hazel formed an instantaneous bond with Percy upon his arrival at Camp Jupiter. And so giving ReedRaritan.com the benefit of the doubt, because we really love them. It is true that Hazel, definitely describes Percy as the most powerful demigod she's ever seen. I never read into it that she had a crush on him. I'm not sure if anyone else has. And so I would be fine with Hazel being ranked here because like she did describe him and, he's the greatest hero I've ever seen. He has this powerful aura. If it weren't for the fact that Rachel Elizabeth Dare really is a character who had a much bigger crush on Percy, I think we can agree than Hazel. How would you rank the list, Diego?
My changes would be I think the word favorite here is the key word in that it's a favorite one, and whoever wrote it at Reed Raritan, it's their favorites, so it's not like we can really like make any changes or anything. Although it is debatable whether or not Hazel is a crush. But I think the changes I would make to this list is I would keep Annabeth in first. I'd put Rachel in second, put Nico in third, Calypso in fourth, and Reina as fifth. And I would make these changes based off of just the amount of attention that the specific crush is given in the book and how it is described, in the sense that Reina is in number 5 because it's, I believe, one line in The Son of Neptune. Calypso would be in fourth place, or Nico would be in fourth place, my bad, because it's like maybe a paragraph or a scene in the House of Hades. Calypso would be in third because it's an actual chapter or a couple of chapters based solely on that. And Rachel would be in second because it's one and a half books, 2 books in which it's
It's basically
happening.
2 books where it's like
and
a will
then
they,
Annabeth would always be in number first because it's much, much more than that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good list. I don't know. I would just, I mean, if it's my favorites, I would just rank Calypso last because I really didn't like that, relationship. And
But
I would rank Nico
I mean,
in third instead.
I think the best part of this entire article is the little art that we get. The little art piece is pretty cool. But aside from that, I mean, it's a list that's based on whoever wrote the list. Although I think our changes are pretty good.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's just the like five favorite Percy crushes. So whoever wrote it can just list their five favorite Percy crushes, and
I
you
mean,
can't
they
really
could
argue.
put like Phineas on the list as number one or something.
If if they saw that in the book and they enjoyed that, then they can put Phineas from the Son of Neptune. Yes, that is true. But yeah,
They could be like drinking, having a sip of poison together at a cafe. That's pretty romantic.
so that's the demigod news for this week.
Samuel, I think it's time to consult the oracle.
Yeah, the section in which we look at the source mythology and promotional material to make predictions on a future Rick Riordan or Rick Riordan Presents book.
And this week we chose to look at Aru Shah and the City of Gold, the upcoming installment to the Pandava series by Roshani Chokshi. Also, this discussion is going to have spoilers for the first three Aru Shah books, which are out now. So be careful. Spoiler.
I'll read the description and then we'll talk about it and our research we did on some of the clues we got. Here it is the description of the book. Best-selling author Rick Riordan presents the penultimate book in the Pandava series by best-selling author Roshani Chokshi. Aru Shah and her sisters, including one who also claims to be the Sleeper's daughter, must find their mentors Hanuman and Uvarshi in Lanka, the city of gold, before war breaks out between the Devas and Usaras. Aru has just made a wish on the Tree of Wishes, but she can't remember what it was. She's pretty sure she didn't wish for a new sister, one who looks strangely familiar and claims to be the Sleeper's daughter, like her. Aru also isn't sure she still wants to fight on behalf of the Devas in the war against the Sleeper and his demon army. The gods have been too devious up to now. Case in point, Kubera, ruler of the City of Gold, promises to give the Pandavas two powerful weapons, but only if they win his trials. If they lose, they won't stand a chance against the Sleeper's troops, which will soon march on Lanka to take over the overworld. Aru's biggest question,
Otherworld.
though, Overworld, my bad. Aru's biggest question, though, Aru's bigger question, though, is why every adult she has loved and trusted so far has failed her. Will she come to peace with what they've done before she has to wage the battle of her life? Filled with wondrous magic, unforgettable creatures, manipulative gods, and laugh out loud dialogue, this fourth book in the Pandava series, a fantasy adventure loosely based on mythology, will leave readers wishing they could read the finale right now.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, so that's a really great description of the book. Really hypes me up. I cannot believe we're four books into the first series of Rick Riordan Presents. That is pretty
Yeah,
crazy. But
it's wild.
this is really building off of kind of that cliffhanger we had at the end of Aru
Yeah,
Shah
yeah,
3.
and kind of for those of you guys who don't remember, Aru has just had this big final battle with the sleeper, and the shadows are overcoming her, and she apologizes to the sleeper and crumbles to her knees, and she wakes up in this mysterious cave. With this mysterious girl in front of her, and the girl tells her like, "Oh, you're in the sleeper's house," and she's like, "Oh, who are you?" And the girl's like, "I am your sister," and then everybody goes crazy, and that's the end of the book.
Well, actually, the girl says that she's the sleeper's daughter. So yes, that would make her Aru's sister, but it does raise questions like is Aru like, because I think the only one of the Pandava it's very strange. I don't know. And but we also mention it mentions in the description how Aru has a new sister who looks strangely familiar and claims to be the sleeper's daughter. So I don't know if like what the time jump is going to be like. Usually Aru Shah books don't have a very big time jump.
No, they're usually pretty short. I think the biggest one is from the end of 2 to 3.
And it was even interesting because Aru Shah 1 had a time jump in and of itself when it ended the book, and then the epilogue was like a couple weeks later, and then the second book started right after the epilogue of that one,
Yeah, 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 exactly.
or like a couple hours later. But this book, I'm interested. What if it's even going to be a time jump? Because if Aru already seems to kind of getting to know the sister already, having been around her for some time, that's the kind of the vibe I'm getting from the description. That they're
Mhm. Totally, totally.
already so quickly she's going to be going. And I'm also wondering, I mean, if she's in the house of the sleeper, how is
How's she gonna get out?
it's so strange how that's not addressed at all in the description. Like that is not she doesn't even seem to be separated from the Pandavas. So which she
Yeah, they just
was.
she was.
So it's weird that the description and most of the promotional material is all about the Pandavas' next adventure. When the cliffhanger was, Aru is no longer with the Pandavas and she's with this girl we know nothing about. So I'm wondering how that is, all going to be tied
Addressed.
together. Yeah, addressed. Like, what are they going to start off the beginning of book 4 where she's not even in the sleeper's house anymore, or is it going to be 3 to 3 to like maybe 10
Or
chapters
maybe
where.
book 4 starts with the escape.
Yeah, like they've
Yeah.
been living there for some time, planning their
Their
jailbreak.
plot out. Although most likely I think that the book is gonna pick up maybe a couple hours after the book 3 ending, because giving us putting us inside the sleeper's house kind of gives us a lot of it gives Roshni a lot of ability to play around with what is inside the sleeper's house. What's the sleeper's house like? And I don't think she would be so quick to just cut away from that.
One thing that's also interesting about this book is the main goal is book 5. We like kind of know book 5 is going to be the big war. uh and
Between the
so
divas.
Yeah. And so book 4 is basically them getting the weapons they need to fight and also figuring out who do they want to fight for in this battle. And also another thing that's being set up for book 5 is Aru like on a battlefield against all her siblings, right? We remember that was kind of prophesized in book 1. I wouldn't be surprised if the end of book 4 is Aru saying, I'm fighting for the sleeper in this one. But I think it's interesting that the plot of this book is the preparation, getting the weapons they need for the battle, which,
Brings up the question, who is they? Is
yeah,
they Aru and the Sleeper's daughter, or is they the Pandava gang we know?
yeah. But what's interesting about it is, to me, just getting the weapons you need for the final battle kind of sounds almost like a filler plot. It doesn't really sound, the most exciting. It kind of, it just sounds like another episode that would be added to a TV show to make it longer. What really intrigues me is this sort of moral idea of Aru trying to figure out who she wants to fight for in this book. I mean, Rosh is a great writer. She's gonna make this, maybe on paper the plot isn't the most exciting, at least personally to me, but I suspect she's gonna make it much better in
Oh,
the actual
definitely,
story.
definitely.
Right, of course. I'm just saying the plot of this book almost sounds, like the plot of the first 8 chapters, first like 8 or 10 chapters of Percy Jackson Olympians, where Percy and Nico, or I mean, of the Last Olympian, where Percy and Nico go down to the underworld for Percy to get the curse of the Achilles, so he's invulnerable. And so it kind of sounds like that, except well, that was more just setting up the war, giving Percy an upgrade. This is giving that upgrade, but also this moral undertone. What if those first 8 chapters had been Percy saying, "Am I even going to fight for the gods? Is that the right thing to do?" That's Aru Shah in this one, so it adds this whole new level of intrigue that makes it almost sort of like spy thriller-ish.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I think from the description, I mean, just alone from the description, there's so much we can deduce. First of all, the kind of ruler of the city of gold and the trials being sort of like this main point. But I don't think the trials will even come up until maybe halfway through the book, maybe at least a third of the way through the book. I think that they will be almost sort of towards the end, even. And I think what's going to be much more interesting here is the character development between Aru and this brand new sister. And if you'll remember, at the end of the last book, we had kind of this moment between Aru and the sleeper in which she was questioning whether his motivations might be correct or incorrect. And I think that's kind of what you were trying to allude to, Samuel, that whether, like, who she wants to fight for. And I think this is going to be much more, or maybe much more the first third of the book being Aru and I forget what's the sleeper's daughter's name.
Kara, right?
Kara. Uh,
Yeah, I think so.
Roshni, if we get it wrong, I apologize. um, but yeah, if Kara,
Right,
I think it's
I
going to
got
be
the
much
book right
more.
here. I'm like
Yeah,
90%
check,
sure
check.
it's Kara. Um,
Ooh, flipping.
this. Yep, Kara. It's Kara.
Kara, Kara. All right, I think the first third of
I'm
this
a
book is mainly
genius.
just. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm genius. Yes, Samuel gets to say that. Um, but I think the first kind of third of this book is definitely more going to be Aru and Kara mainly, and kind of trying to set up that dynamic and setting up that dynamic with the sleeper since they're in this house. And I think, of course, we're going to come to the eventual point where Aru kind of wants to go. She wants to go back to the Pandavas, and I think when she meets back up with the Pandavas, whether it's with Kara or not, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it's not with Kara. Kara stays or Kara gets lost or something like that would make it a lot more compelling plot. It's going to be a totally different dynamic because she will have been apart from them for a certain period of time, having experiences that she probably won't want to tell them about at first, right? And this is kind of me also building off of what I know from Roshni's other books, of which I've read, is that she'll probably want to play around a lot with the group dynamic and the group dynamic changing with this kind of change in Aru. And I think that will come up during these trials. I think some of these, at least one of these trials, is going to have some sort of like trust or group dynamic exercise, which the Pandavas might be close to not doing great because of this kind of change that's happened to Aru. And I think that's what is going to eventually lead to this final moment in which Aru might decide to play on the sleeper side. If that kind of makes any sense, that might be a very broad plot overview, but I sense that this is the direction in which the book is going to go.
I think I do have to disagree with you a little
Mm.
bit. I'm kind of cool with some of the points you made, but I do say so. The idea that they don't even get to the trials until the second third of the book, I think that's not a bad prediction, but I think it's probably going to start a bit earlier than that. I think by chapter 8 we can probably get to the trials. But I do think there's going to be a bit of time getting to know Kara with Aru and then getting to know Kara with the Pandavas. What I will say is I have to really disagree with your idea that Kara gets lost or separated for a
Yeah,
majority of the
yeah,
book.
I think that's the biggest, plot hole in my, fake plot or prediction plot.
Well, not a plot hole, just like the most unlikely of your
Yeah, yeah,
predictions.
yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. Because it Kara with the Pandavas is definitely a much better
I mean,
plot.
it's just like you're not. Well, not even that, but this is the book where we're getting to know this character. It wouldn't make sense for them to be gone for most of it. It's like if in the Titan's Curse, instead of Annabeth going missing, it's Talia. That's just
No, no, I agree with your change.
yeah. So I would say she's. So there's option A, which I mean, I still think it's a possibility that she goes missing because that would add a layer of mystery to it. But I think it's more likely she stays with the group because there's still that mystery where we're not sure how much of a sister she is. We're not sure if she's really with the sleeper. Why does her face look familiar? Okay, yeah, but so I think overall, that's kind of our predictions for the plot. Let's move into our research though.
Yeah, 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 sure. Would you like to go first, or do you want me to take the lead on this one?
Do you first actually want to tell people about the big blue guy on the cover? Because he's
Yes.
involved in my story.
We're not entirely sure on who the big blue guy on the cover is, but we have a very good guess, and we think it would be Ravana. And Ravana is the multi. Actually, it's pretty much certain that it's Ravana. But Ravana is the mythical multi-headed demon king of Lanka, which is the city of gold. So, Demon King, ruler of the city of gold. This is going to be, I think, what's his name in the Aru Shah books? Let me just quickly pull that up. Kubera, ruler of the city of gold. So yeah, Kubera is Ravana, is
No,
what I'm
actually,
kind of.
you want me to jump in here and make some corrections?
Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah, so Kubera is the city of gold in from what we've seen in the description, which is interesting because so in the myths, basically, Ravana is the ruler as in the myths that I've seen so far in my research. But there are actually two ways that he came into power over the city of gold. The first one I'll kind of skim over because basically the first one, two gods were getting married. They asked another god, "Can you make this giant golden city for us?" And he said, "Yes, I can do that." And he made the giant golden city for them. But they just kind of wanted to live in the golden city. But there was a big palace in the golden city, and so Ravana was going to kind of do a housewarming ritual for the married gods. And he said, "Hey, as my reward, can I live in that palace?" And the god was like, "Sure." And so that's one version. The one that actually will probably come more so into play in the book, I believe, because of the mention of
Kubera.
because of the mention of Kubera in the description, is basically there's a version where Ravana is the half brother of Kubera, and then he kind of wrestles, or then he has a fight with Kubera, and he wins the fight, so then he gets to own the city, and then there's also a golden chariot that he gets to take, which and the golden chariot I think is interesting because it belonged to Kubera, and it was involved in this other myth where Ravana kidnaps Sita and brings her to Lanka. So this golden chariot, it's really fast. It's a powerful thing. And what's interesting is, what they're trying to do in these trials? They're trying to get a powerful weapon.
Ooh! Oh,
And
oh,
so,
is that a prediction I hear? Samuel, hit us
well,
with the prediction.
Well, the thing is, so the chariot, it's not a weapon, it's a vehicle that goes really fast, right? But it has not been unheard of in the Aru Shah series for weapons to also work as vehicles, with Aru's lightning bolt. So, is it possible that one of the powerful things they're trying to earn for the battle against the sleeper is the golden chariot? Perhaps I can't say that for certain, but I will say that golden chariot will probably come up in the book because it's closely linked to the city of Lanka.
All right, Samuel. I think your research, if it is correct, has made me confident enough. I'm gonna go ahead and say prediction number one. Likelihood. Oh, we should do a likelihood rating system. I think like this is a new thing. Just came up with it on the spot. But likelihood of chariot being one of the two powerful weapons, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10.
You're giving that a 6 out of 10. I'm gonna give that a 4.5 out of 10. So
4.5 out of 10. All right. Okay. All right. I kind of like this.
yeah, I like it
So
too. Ooh, I
uh,
like this likelihood system. I like it.
this
I'm
likelihood
happy with
system
it.
is very good. Would you like to? Do you have any more research? Because it sounds like you have more research.
Yeah, I have a bit more research. The god Hanuman also was considering destroying the city of Lanka at one point, but then he was told, "Hey, it's made of gold. It's gonna be hard to destroy." And he was like, "Yeah, that's true. It's gonna be hard to destroy."
Good enough for me.
I'm definitely oversimplifying that,
Yeah,
but
yeah. If you guys remember, Hanuman is actually one of the mentors uh, of
yes,
of the Pandavas. Yeah, so we actually see Hanuman mentioned in the description, so that's really cool. And I think that myth will definitely come up. Hanuman trying to destroy the city of gold, or mentioning destroying the city of gold.
especially because he's currently trapped there, right, in Aru Shah.
Yeah, yeah. So that myth will probably almost definitely come up in one way or another, maybe as a funny sort of thing, or maybe as something more serious, as when Hanuman breaks out, he might try to go back on that idea, and might
Yeah,
take
it,
some.
it it definitely can will probably add tension between the relationship of Kubera, who runs the city of gold, and Hanuman, who like previously has tried to destroy it and is currently trapped there. One thing I will say is interesting. So Kubera, in all of his myths, he's like the city of gold, but then Ravana takes it from him. So it's interesting. And so Ravana, when he becomes the ruler of City Gold, he also is kind of indebted to defend it, and that's why it seems he's fighting the Pandavas on the cover. One thing that's interesting to me is, what is the relationship between Ravana and Kubera going to be? Because they're half brothers, but in the myth, Ravana has taken control of it from Kubera. So I'm wondering, is the idea that like Kubera has taken it back, or is Ross just kind of say that the myth where Ravana takes it from Kubera hasn't happened yet, or hasn't happened in
No,
the
no,
Aru
no.
Shah
I think
universe?
I think much more likely, another prediction, the mini prediction here is that she Roshni will probably do another one of the things where she does Ravana taking the city from Kubera isn't actually like Ravana taking the city from Kubera. It's more like Ravana teaming up with Kubera and defending the city, maybe for the chance to get to do something like that. I think that's much more likely that she'll kind of try to turn the myth into something of a teamwork thing. Although likelihood of that, I'm gonna do like 3 out of 10. Not very likely, but could be an
I give
idea.
that a 2 out of 10.
So yeah, I think overall that's kind of the main things that are going on right now. I think we might get definitely from either Hanuman or Urvashi or maybe even the council itself. We're gonna get a lot of talk about how big and bad the army is, because it does seem like this showdown is gonna happen at the city, and it's gonna be this kind of big thing where the sleeper is gathering this massive host and preparing to take down the golden city, the seat of power for the divas.
Oh, and the chariot is called Pushpak Viman, so that's cool, I guess.
Yeah. I think another thing that's definitely going to show up is something where the divas kind of, there has to be some sort of last straw, because I definitely think that the cliffhanger is going to be that Aru decides to fight on the side of the sleeper. Just because it seems so good overall in the plot, and it seems extremely likely. And I think something that's going to have to do with that is maybe something where she and the Pandavas finally get these weapons, and they're ready to defend the city, and then maybe like the divas not really acknowledging that, or something where the divas kind of just brush it off or something like that. But I definitely think there has to be that kind of final straw of the divas doing something after she's just gone through this incredible undertaking, that finally pushes her over to the other side. Although there is probably going to be more of a build up to that.
I think there's also probably definitely the possibility that, the divas, the Pandavas in general, oh, dude, we've been messing up. We haven't been calling them the potatoes this whole time.
Oh, the potatoes! No, no, I apologize. All Aru Shah fans listening to this, big apology. We should have called them the potatoes. From now on, we will be calling them the potatoes.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad. But yeah, so there's gonna be um
Samuel's disappointment is immeasurable.
there's gonna there's gonna
His
be
day is ruined.
I'm gonna try to see how many times I can say the potatoes between now and then. But yeah, so there's gonna be a lot of tension between Kara and the potatoes besides Aru. And so I think in the end, I think
Potatoes
Aru,
minus Aru.
yeah, well, I think the big thing is going to be Kara is going to kind of get punished by the gods when they find out how she's related to the sleeper, um, for kind of arbitrary reasons, despite Aru is also related to the sleeper. And then Kara, I think, she might go to jail. She might be about to be executed, but she's going to receive a punishment. And I think the potatoes don't really care. And I think Aru does. And so Aru actually betrays the potatoes and maybe even takes the weapons that they've worked so hard this whole book to get. She takes those weapons, she betrays the potatoes, and maybe after helping Kara escape, she joins the sleepers team because she can't believe that they were going to hurt Kara. Alternatively,
Yeah.
she doesn't even manage to save Kara, and the reason she joins the sleeper side is because she knows she's going to be able to fight on a side that can help her save Kara, despite this not a side that doesn't care about Kara like the side with the potatoes.
Now that you've mentioned that theory, I think that is an extremely good theory. Yeah, I totally agree that now that I kind of see that, now that you're bringing that up, I'm feeling kind of silly that I didn't think of that. But that makes a lot more sense as kind of that final divas being unreasonable to push Aru over to the other side. And I feel like for plot development reasons and for character development reasons, it would also be really good if the potatoes kind of didn't side with Aru and they just sided with the divas and were like, "What are you talking about? She's crazy." This whole time she was like being a spy or something like that, right? I think that would be much better for character development reasons. Although it's uh, that's kind of the part that I'm debating the most on, just because this is more of a middle grade book and less of a YA book. So that kind of betrayal, I'm not sure whether or not it'll actually happen. Just depending on how it's not really PG or PG-13, like, it's not good or bad, it's just,
Wait.
the genres interact differently.
Oh my god. You know what I just
Oh,
thought
no.
of?
Oh my god, what happened?
So, yes, Aru consistently reconsidering the sleeper's motivations, Kara, getting punished by the divas. These are all good motivations. But another thing that could really push Aru apart from the rest of the potatoes is if Bryn and Aiden become a thing.
Whoa. Oh my god, that that would totally work. I mean, I think that would be
Okay, they're kind of young in the book, so I don't think they're actually gonna like start dating or whatever. But they're gonna do like the traditional thing where it's like the main character thinks they're about to start dating, and then they get really sad because they have a crush on that one character.
no, 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 I totally know what you mean. Now, 2 things that would stop like, that would totally be part of it, but I'm not sure that can fit into the plot without making it seem strange. 2, I don't think Roshni can change that relationship quickly enough to make it a thing. And 3, it's not as productive to the plot as something with Kara being punished by the divas arbitrarily.
I disagree with you. I think it's just going to be a
Mm.
little undertone in the book that adds to kind of Aru. Like, think about this. Bryn and Aiden, they get worried about Aru because she doesn't even remember what wish she made, and now she's come back with this other sister. So they're constantly whispering to each other about her. They're giving weird glances when Aru says something. They're constantly looking at each other and
Oh,
then looking at
Aru
Aru,
misinterprets it?
and Aru misinterprets it. Like when they go off whispering to each other, are they talking about her? Are they talking about her because they think she's crazy? And then, she starts to more and more see them as like a couple against, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of
Totally,
a thing
totally
that's
know what you mean. When you explain it like that, makes a lot more sense. Still, due to the nature in which the relationship is set up, I think that's a bit far, although that would still be like a 4 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 on my likelihood scale.
hmm it's
Or
it's go-
what are you giving it?
if that happens, it's gonna break my heart for Aru. Like,
It
it's
would totally break my heart, but on the bright side, that would be the biggest brain prediction ever in the history of ever.
are you really gonna say that? Like, if that happens in the book, you have to admit that, like, from now on, all your predictions are worse than that one time I made that one prediction.
No, 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 I take it back, I take it back. Although, it could be a very good bet.
Okay. Uh, yeah, that's kind of. I don't know if we have anything major to say like
Yeah,
about this
no,
book about just
I
making
think I'd
guesses.
kind of just wanna yeah, I yeah, I think that's pretty much all that we have to say. Although I feel like we could just touch briefly upon what do you think Aru's wish was?
Oh, such a good question. um,
I don't think it'll be given as much importance in the book, but I do definitely think we should at least briefly touch upon what that could be.
no, I think it's being constantly brought up, but like
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think it's
gonna
gonna.
yeah.
No, it's gonna be really important in the beginning, only subtly brought up in the middle, and then when it's finally revealed at the end, it's gonna be like mind blowing.
Yeah, no, no, I definitely feel as though the actual wish isn't gonna be it doesn't really matter what that is. I think what really matters is the fact that she doesn't remember and that maybe the potatoes think that she's lying to them.
Well, I disagree because when they were like, there wouldn't be a mystery that's going to span the entire book if it weren't for the fact that when it is revealed, it's going to be of extreme importance.
Well, of
I
course it's gonna be of extreme importance. I'm not denying that it's gonna be of extreme importance. I just don't think that the wish as a part of the plot is gonna be as important as her not knowing what the wish
oh,
is gonna be
well,
of importance.
so you're saying that you know the wish itself is going to be brought up less than the fact that she doesn't know what the wish is.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
Well, that's clear. I mean, the wish isn't going to be brought up because she doesn't know what the wish is.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
That's
I guess you
that's
could say
that's
that.
like one of the most obvious things you've ever said, Diego. But you said it in an obtuse way. Um,
I apologize. But yeah, no, what do you think it's gonna be, Samuel?
that's so hard. I don't know. Maybe she like wished that the sleeper to be on the good side or something, or for oh jeez, maybe she wished like that she could figure out to what the right thing to do was, and that's why she joins the sleeper at the end. Even though that I think that's probably going to end up being a mistake in book five. In book five, she's going to be working for the sleeper, and she's like, "Oh, this not a great idea. Better switch sides." Um,
Yeah, yeah. I think there's two routes that this could go. The wish could be sleeper related or it could be potatoes related.
I think it's kind of going to be sleeper related, but I do think there's a it's either going to be like self improvement, like wishing something about herself could be better, or it's going to higher likelihood that it's going to be somehow related to the sleeper. But oh, I don't, because the fact that she wakes up in the sleeper's home after she makes the wish, they're probably related somehow. She she might be wishing like to make her family like together again, but
Mhm.
that's kind of a weird thing
It's a bit
considering.
cliche.
Yeah, but also considering the fact that, in Aru Shah 3, she seems pretty happy with her mom and the potatoes as a family. She doesn't seem to, even though she has that hole where the sleeper as her dad would be, she doesn't have that she doesn't have that father figure, which, is important to anyone. But she seemed pretty content having this new family in the potatoes. So I don't know if she would necessarily. It's so hard, especially because she says "I'm sorry" as her last line to him, which doesn't make me think, oh, she's wishing for him to be an amazing person again. Like, no, that would be "I'm sorry" is when you're wishing something bad to them. So it's a really hard thing.
No, I think it's also a very difficult thing. But I think we just had to touch upon it briefly. So, yeah, I think that's there's not much else, kind of just to keep it brief and to keep the predictions in high likelihood. But I think main predictions here are just like our my quick kind of plot prediction in the beginning with some fixes into the plot prediction from Samuel, some quick end plot prediction with the punishment for Kara, a quick couple of myth connections that we made. Obviously, the wish and this relationship between like the relationship between the different forces at play, both between the divas, the asuras, the potatoes, Aru, Kara, and the sleeper. And I think that's kind of I'm super hyped about this book, and I'm super excited to see how our predictions this early, not really early, but with this little information can do.
Yeah, I agree. I'm worried that like half of the stuff we said is completely stupid. Um, like I worry about that with every Oracle section, but I feel particularly uneasy about this one. I don't know. I can't explain why. I just do.
Same, same. I feel like it'll either be a stroke of genius or it'll be straight out the window.
I just have this unexplainable feeling that 50% of the stuff we said is right on point, and the other 50% is like
Craziness.
is a is just wrong and horrible. Um,
um, but I
but
think
I don't know what 50%.
me neither.
Hey, that's it for this episode of the Half Blood Report.
That
Diego, how can I contact this podcast?
I don't even know how to follow up on that, but you can follow the show on Twitter at Half Report. You can also find us on Instagram at the Half Blood Report and email the show at thehalfbloodreport@gmail.com. You should let us know what you think about these predictions.
And let us know what you think of likelihood scale. I like
Oh
it,
yeah,
but
yeah. Let us know what you think about that. We came up with that on the spot, but if you like it, then we'll keep it. We also
hey,
do
hey,
have a website.
what's the
Yeah.
what's the likelihood scale that people are gonna like the likelihood scale?
I'm going with a solid 7 out of 10, the highest rating this entire episode.
I'm going with 8.5 out of 10.
Oh my god.
Only thing I'm
Samuel.
confident. What's
Oh
our
my
website,
god.
Diego?
Yeah, my bad. thehalfbloodreport.com.
And please leave a review on Apple Podcast. We read and respond to those on our seasonal mailbag episodes.
Yeah, and you should totally check out the episode of the Seaweed Brain podcast that came out last week. We guested on their podcast, and
Yeah, we talked about Percy Jackson, specifically his kind of arc and journey and the Son of Neptune, which you might know is mine and Diego's favorite Rick Riordan book. So it was really fun to join them to talk about Son of Neptune. I feel like we don't get to talk about Son of Neptune enough on this podcast.
yeah,
But it
so
was fun, and you gotta listen to that episode.
yeah, totally check it out. I would also like to give a very special thank you and shout out to our patrons. Currently supporting us, we have Finian and Magnus Chase.
Yeah, a huge thank you to our patrons. They help keep our show going by paying for a hosting service and website. There are many special benefits you could get by becoming a patron at all the different tiers. You can learn more about them and consider joining at patreon.com/join/the Half Blood Report. And that link is also in the description.
So yeah, speaking of that, this month's patron only giveaway is going to be a signed copy of the first Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky with a fantastic cover art by Eric Wilkerson. It is signed by both Eric Wilkerson and Kwame Mbalia. So you guys totally want to join in this month and be able to participate in the giveaway. That said, though, it's time for credits. Our theme music is actually by me.
I do our editing. My co-host here is Diego, and I'm Samuel. This is the Half Blood Report podcast, the only HPR that matters. Survive. Till next week.